heading into the SEC conference week with at South Carolina. They have a really good pitching staff. I think that's going to be our biggest challenge for us. Right now, we come off a pretty successful weekend. Got good pitching from everybody on the staff, and obviously some timely hitting, a few run rules. So we feel good about where we're at right now, and everyone's healthy. So that's all we could really ask for going into this first SEC matchup.
All right, if y'all could use the raise hand function, I'll go ahead and call. Start with you, Thomas.
Coach, good afternoon.
Good
Um,
afternoon.
I think what, seven or six of the top seven teams in the country are SEC teams. Have you had much chance to kind of watch the other SEC teams, and how would you describe the level of competition in the conference right now?
Yeah, you always track the conference, results, to see how everyone's doing. And Florida jumps out there. I mean, they haven't played any top 25 teams, but they're obviously their runs production's been impressive as long as their wins. A&M has had some pretty tough schedule. They had a good series with Nebraska in it, and I think they split that series, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I know they lost one game, but they've been having some pretty close games as well. Oklahoma's just been pounding people. So it's the same thing where the top of the conference is really kind of separating themselves from the rest. But again, the depth, you just don't know until you get into conference play. And that's the thing about playing three games is that when you kind of it's hard to get up for those three games and get a sweep. And if you want to win the conference, you've got to get at least three or four sweeps.
Jeff?
Mike, the video of Katie's home run denting the apartment complex or dorm or whatever there in the outfield has gone kind of viral online. I'm sure you've seen her do amazing things, but how have you seen her progress as a hitter since she's been here? I know she was great when she arrived, but how have you seen her progress?
I'm just glad we're not getting a bill for all the damage she's doing. So, but I mean, what I've seen with her progression is that she had a hole in her swing. I'm not going to tell you what it was when she first got here, and she struggled with that, and progressively has got stronger and better each year. And I don't know if there's a race going on between her and Reese, but I imagine there probably is. But a sideline bet going. But they seem to be chasing each other, and having Reese there and her just kind of chase each other. It's pretty cool to watch. But I like the way she's protecting Reese in the lineup.
And to address that hole that was in her game, how long did it take for her to get from where she was to maybe closing that gap? And has she closed that gap altogether?
Well, you heard about the 10,000 hour kind of rule, how many 10,000 reps, whatever. So, you come with an ingrained swing, and it's, you become susceptible to certain types of pitching, and it's hard to change that. And it takes a little bit of buy-in and trust and then constant work. And she's been doing that. So I think that you're starting to see the fruits of a lot of hours of practice and trust with the coaching staff.
Paige, go ahead.
Coach, you spoke that you weren't happy with your team defensively on specifically against St. Bonaventure on Saturday, and they cleaned it up against Incarnate Word on Sunday. What are you looking to see from your defense going into SEC play, specifically against South Carolina?
Well, I think it's, the physical errors are going to happen. It's what you do after something happens that matters the most. And I think that, I'm not blaming anybody here, but it was our secondary defenses that were in there making a lot of the physical errors. But more importantly, some of the mental errors and some of the errors where if you can get an out, you need to make it. And we know we need that against these top teams. You give them, like I tell the team, every error is a 1/3 of the inning advantage, and you make three errors in the game, and then all of a sudden they get 8 innings to your seven. So it's real important to make the outs and help our pitching staff out as much as we can, and it takes a lot of pressure off. Very rarely in this game are you seeing back-to-back-to-back hits. There's always a walk or an error in there, which a walk is a pitcher's error. And so I'm including the mental part of it is the walks in there as well, and we can't be giving those up as much as we have been.
Thomas?
Mike, from your perspective, what's been one of the more pleasant developments in non-conference, and maybe what's a concern you have entering conference play?
Well, I think Kaya Altmaier, rising to, lifting her game up. She started off platooning and has really kind of earned that starting spot in the outfield for us. It's made some fabulous catches over going backwards, at least three that I know of for sure, where there were almost certain doubles, and she was able to snag those in. So, and being a consistent throw in the outfield. She's not as fast as some of her other options, but she's making the plays when she has to, and offensively, she's doing a great job. I think Leanne Good is another one that is being pretty consistent right now. We moved her throughout the lineup. We moved her up, when Ashton was struggling just a little bit, moved her down to 9. Uh, you know, Leanne was able to slot up into that number 2 position in the lineup and do a great job for us. And probably an unsung hero, and I think I mentioned this to you guys early on, was going to be, um, third baseman there. Name's escaping me. Help me
Matea?
out there, Grace. Huh?
Matea?
No, not Matea.
JC.
The other freshman.
Great. Who?
JC.
Uh, yeah, JC Nichols. Sorry, kind of lost it there for a second. So JC Nichols has really stepped up, not only offensively but defensively. I think she made a play last week. There was an absolute bullet, knocked it down, still be able to throw her out. Consistent, being able to play her at shortstop as well, take a lot of pressure off. Vivi, and rest her. She's back 100% healthy now. But I feel good with her at third base right now defensively, and obviously surprisingly with the bat, her on base percentage is really high. So she may not have that batting average that's over 400, but her on base percentage is.
Eric.
Coach, I was gonna say, Nicola, I couldn't find the button to unmute myself there to bring it up there. I was like, I was scrambling there. But you mentioned Nichols. Talk about the rest of the freshmen like Wells and the others that how are they fit in? How they you feel they've handled this pre-conference, obviously getting ready for SEC play, but this Division One level that they've accustomed to this month.
Yeah, we know there's always a jump from that next level, and some get it a little quicker than others. Hannah Wells has certainly done a good job for us in those pinch hit roles and DP and at first base, and then also lately with pitching. She throws up a 60s, has a nice little off-speed curve, and so she was still trying to protecting her a little bit, but she's going to have to play a bigger role for us if we're going to be successful in the SEC as far as both offensively and defensively. Just a nice option to have off the bench. And then Alyssa Sneed, has got a lot of speed in the outfield, is coming along with hitting. Had a grand slam in the weekend for her first home run. It's not a bad way to start your career with a home run, get a grand slam. Just hasn't been able to get as many opportunities because, of Altmaier doing a better job in the outfield. So we see her sliding into the outfield, but she can play third base or even come in as a pinch in the infield somewhere. She's just a nice role player for us at this point. I see her down her future being really good for us. I think she's going to develop, get a little bit stronger, and adjust to the pitching. Kind of a little bit like Katie had to kind of adjust. We just have a deeper squad right now that's it's a little hard to break in. But so that's somebody. I think Ane Wallace at this point, we're kind of redshirting her, but she is big, strong, powerful. She's a kid that we see another down the line doing very well for us. Drea is coming back off an injury and should be available to us very shortly. She is another player that I like what she's doing in batting practice, hitting it, another right-hand option for us to hit. So that's definitely one. Taylor Anderson has been playing a little bit. Great base runner for us, so she's kind of a speed kid. She's one of the transfers for us. Brinley Gonzalez, the left-hand pitcher. She came in pretty big for us against Santa Clara. Was able to finish that game out when we were struggling a little bit, and then they had a complete game shutout, I think, in the weekend. So it was good to get her out there as well. Who else am I missing? Left and freshman. Name them all.
I think you did. I think you did good. You nailed everybody. That was
Not bad.
Bob.
Hey, Mike. You still got 2.5 months to go in the regular season. As you kind of open up conference play, is there something that you are really concerned about? Like, what's the next step you need to take in the month of March to really kind of take the step you want to see?
I think, I think we're not going to have a clear-cut number two pitcher per se. I think it's going to be a matter of them picking each other up and going through. And of course, there's going to be times when Tegan may not be successful, in game 1 or 3, and when you need someone to come in and close the door and help out. And we can't put all that pressure on one pitcher. I mean, I'm sure she wants to be out there. There's no doubt about that. But for us, we need to have that pitching step up. And then, of course, the middle of the order to continue to drive runs in. I think Caden Henry was another one. You talk about who surprised us. I mean, she's surprising. I'm just amazed at how well she's doing right now. She's just hitting the ball with authority, hitting it all fields. So she's a kid that's got to kind of be that leadoff spark for us and getting on base. And that brings up, I've always been asked the question, why don't we put Reese at 3 or Stewie at 3? And it's like, well, they're coming up first inning anyway. A lot of the times we have pretty success getting people on in the first inning. So I think that's a need for us, is continue to get people on base for our power hitters and RBI people to do their job.
Thomas?
You kind of answered the question about the number two pitcher. Is there one underlying trait you want to see from a starting pitcher?
Yeah, keep the pitch count down, because they're going to see you twice in a weekend. And you're out there and you're throwing 150 pitches in a first game. It's going to give them a pretty good look at you. So I think we've got to reduce the number of pitches we're throwing per inning, and then be ability to mix it up. You've got to have your off speed working. These kids are so well trained now, they can hit velocity. Even Pickens, through throwing 76 mile an hour, will get hit if that's all she throws. So we can't just rely on that. We've got to be able to hit our locations better. I think that Tegan's control is great, but sometimes she can kind of perfect pitch a little bit and kind of get behind. And I think she's got to be aggressive and really go at some hitters a little bit more and get those shorter innings.
Peyton?
Coach, you talked about Kaya Altmaier and the impact that she's had so far. Is this the role you anticipated her playing when she came to Texas ahead of this season? And has she emerged into that starting spot more quickly than you thought she would?
Yeah, it really was. That's one of the reasons we went after her. When we played Arizona, down at Arizona, we were impressed with her as a player. And then when she became available on the portal, it was like, hey, this is the kid we need to go after. And so we were able to get her to come to us. And she's coming through right now. I mean, not always straight away. And I think there's that transition period where, because we don't just say you're going to come and start. You're going to have to earn your role. And so I think she was in that battle to earn her role, and she's separated herself right now. And so I'm really pleased with the way she's handling it. I love her maturity as a older player. Just what she's bringing to the field, and just love her as a ball player.
Eric?
Coach, how's Viv Martinez look to you now being back? I know she looked great in the fall and everything, but now that she's been playing competition, how is she holding up? How do you feel she looks so far for you?
Yeah, she's holding up very well. I think she's still, kind of brushing off some rust a little bit. She is hitting the ball really well. Kind of gone off the boil just a little bit the last week. But I was pleased with what she's doing. And so we're working on some things with her to kind of regain a little bit of her form from where it was earlier in the year. But defensively, pretty good. Made a couple of errors that was just indecision on a couple of them. But then the next one, she attacked the ball. So I like what she's doing. It's just a matter of just getting a little more comfortable.
Do you feel your group has that championship confidence? That it thing where they now know we've won a lot, we know what we do, we got to take care of business. Do you sense that from this group of veterans there, as far as hey, we know how to turn it into that next gear, and now we got SEC play to focus?
I believe they feel they're never out of a game. So it's like we having a bat left, we're going to win the game, or have an opportunity to win the game, and I think that's what they've got to focus on. And we focus a lot on the process. We talk about the outcome. So winning the game may not be in your control. There's something may happen that's out of your control, but I think that they feel like they have the ability and the talent and the experience now to be able to win it.
And then my last one. South Carolina, you don't play them often. I mean, take me through the preparation and getting ready for them. They had a great season last year with Ashley, with the job she did there, getting to the super regionals. Take me through that. And is it more prep because you don't play them as often as, say, some of the other teams in the league?
Well, that's the nice thing about playing a series of just one team and not these tournaments where you're trying to prep for 5 teams. So it is a little bit easier that we can spend a lot more time and delve into it and get a little bit deeper. So we all have our jobs to do as far as defensive shifts and placements, what we're going to put in place, our offensive attack against their pitching staff, no matter which one they throw at us. Obviously Hurd is their ace right now, real low ERA, so we're going to have to be prepared for that one. But they also have several other pitchers that are going to bring different stuff to the table. So the good news is, I think with our schedule, we're facing pretty good pitching along the way. So giving them that confidence that we've scored runs off good pitching, I think that's key, and that's why we want to play a pretty strong non-conference schedule. I think that base running, we're in a pretty good space right now. We've stolen a number of bases, and we're pretty good there. Obviously, with Reese behind the plate, we're good defensively. So things line up well. It's just a matter of whether we can bring it to the game, when the lights turn on.
Thank you for your time, Coach.
Yeah, you're welcome.